What's going on, everybody? So in this video I'm gonna answer the question how to set up your calories and macros when your goal is to get lean. So the most important thing you need to make sure is on point is your calories. How do you find that number? Because you could be 20 pounds overweight right now, okay, and you only have 20 pounds to lose and you're shredded, or you could have 100 or 150 pounds to lose. So I recommend that you have a goal weight in mind. Me, for example, I'm 5'11", I'm 5'11", okay? And my ideal body weight is in 150s. I'm lean, I feel good, I perform well, I feel lots of energy and stuff like that. So let's go even on the higher end of that. Let's say 100. Let's say I'm currently 200 pounds, and my goal is to lose 40 pounds and get to 160. Okay, so in order to figure out my calories, I'm gonna take my goal weight, which is 160, and I'm gonna multiply it by 13. Okay, um, 13, I find that is a really good number that puts you in that sweet spot where your calories are not too low, it's not too aggressive, but at the same time, it does put you in a caloric deficit and you lose weight like sort of slow and steady and effortless. You can enjoy your favorite foods on a day-to-day basis and still burn fat and get leaner each and every week. And it's sort of like a smooth sailing on the way to your goal body weight. If you want to go a little bit more aggressive, then you could go goal weight times 12 or goal weight times 11. However, I would not go more aggressive than goal weight times 11. That would be the lowest calorie number that I would recommend. So, like I already said, this is the most important thing to establish, because without caloric deficit, if you don't have your calories dialed in, nothing else matters, man. You're not gonna get leaner if you're not in a caloric deficit. You're not losing fat, period. I don't care what your protein is like. I don't care what the rest of your macros are like. I don't care what your training routine is like and stuff like that. If you're not in a caloric deficit, you're not losing fat, period. So the most important thing is to make sure that your calories are on point, and that's the step number one, and we got that out of the way. So next, let's talk about macronutrients. In my opinion, when it comes to macros, I've tried many things. I've tried the low carb thing, I've tried the low fat thing, I've tried flexible dieting, and I've tried different diets. I used to be a vegan for almost 3 years. So I've tried many things. And let me tell you, through my experience and personal experience, my anecdotal experience, and also from working with my clients, I find that macronutrients is not as important. So protein is important, to get sufficient amount of protein to make sure that, number one, you recover well so that you're not losing muscle, and also for satiety, okay, and also for metabolism, because protein has the highest thermic effect when it comes to digesting. Your body spends most energy digesting protein, okay? So for all of those reasons, protein is important. However, I think the recommended amount that everybody out there is pushing is a little bit overblown. I went a couple years making sure that I'm getting at least 200 grams of protein per day, and I went at least 2 years without missing that, I swear to God. And having that experience in my bank, I do not find it superior to lower protein intake. Like recently, in the last maybe 6 or 7 months, I've been averaging maybe something between 80 and 140 grams of protein per day, so way lower than 200, right? And I do not experience any negative side effects. My strength is not dropping, endurance, all these things. My recovery is good. I don't feel like I'm losing muscle, and yeah, I feel good, and I get to eat more carbohydrates, which I really enjoy. So, and that fuels my performance. That gives me a better pump in the gym when I do my resistance training, my pull-ups, my dips, my push-ups, muscle-ups, all that. So I feel really good about that. So macronutrients, I would not overthink. I'm telling you again, my experience. I'm 5'11", 160 pounds currently, and I've been averaging for the last 6 or 7 months. I've been getting between 80 and on the low end, and something as high as 140 on the high end. And my recovery is fine. I feel satiated. I feel good. So do not overthink macros. That's the bottom line there. Get sufficient amount, but something like 100 grams, in my opinion, I would think is sufficient. And then the rest of your calories, once you hit your protein number, can come from the balance of fats and carbs. For me personally, I like to keep fat lower, to eat more carbs because number one, I just enjoy carbohydrates. I love fruit, I love potatoes, I love rice, and I feel like having more carbohydrates from my diet really fuels my energy, which allows me to exert more calories, spend more calories, because at the end of the day, fat loss is calories in versus calories out game, right? This is the most important rule to fat loss. So I find that when my carbs are on the higher end, my calorie output is greater because I feel more energetic, I push harder in my workouts, and I'm just more active throughout the day without even noticing it. I feel like my NEAT is higher without even thinking about it. I just feel like moving more. I feel like being active. I feel like playing with my son, going for walks with my family, and just I feel more energy, period. And I feel like my output is higher, which allows me to get into a caloric deficit easier, and therefore fat loss just becomes effortless. And finally, so now that you have your calories and macros figured out, like I said, calories most important, and then macros, figure out, get the sufficient amount of protein, and then the rest of your calories can come from whichever balance of fats and carbs you like. So the most important thing is that your diet is very enjoyable, okay? If you don't enjoy it, it ain't gonna work. So figure out your calories, hit your protein, and then the rest of your calories come from a balance of fats and carbs. And obviously I recommend that most of the food that you eat is real nutrient dense whole foods, right? So we're talking lean meats, chicken breast, low fat dairy, fruits and vegetables, starches, stuff like that, right? Basics. But then if you feel like having a little pizza here and there, that's fine. If you feel like finishing your day with a little dessert and spending 400 calories out of your daily calories on dessert at the end of the day, that's totally fine, because that's gonna make your diet more enjoyable, and it's not gonna feel like you are on a diet, but you are losing fat and you are getting leaner. And that's really the key, man. The leanest people that I ever met, they don't do crash diets. They just found that most enjoyable way for themselves not to overeat their calories, and they just live an active lifestyle. They enjoy the way they live, they enjoy the way they eat, they enjoy the way they train, and this is why they maintain a lean physique effortlessly.